So why did the Deepnight Revelation mission happen? Well, at any given time, the Imperium is facing a lot of threats, and there's no way of knowing which one is the most serious. There's always a threat of war on some border. There's always terrorists with biological or nuclear weapons. There's always a flare-up of insurrection here, economic crash there. And in the middle of all of this, there's problems that one or two scientists are making a lot of noise about. Sometimes they're right. It is the most serious thing happening right now, and quite often they're not. So it's very difficult for the authorities to decide what best to do. There is some sort of creature that's a threat. We don't know how serious the threat is. And it seems to be connected to a strange radio and gravity source right at the mouth of the Great Rift. What will we do about that? It's an awfully long way away. The answer is, of course, to throw money at it. And in this case, the money was thrown at the Deepnight Corporation. They specialise in long-range exploration. This is right up their street. But the ships that the Deepnight Corporation have are not really designed for a 10-year voyage to the edge of the spiral arm. They needed something a bit more powerful, something that could perhaps deal with serious threats along the way. A ship with a greater endurance than any exploration ship the Imperium has ever sent out. And that ship was Deepnight Revelation. Deepnight Revelation started her career as an Amara-class heavy cruiser. She was in need of a rebuild, and so she was a logical choice to be rebuilt, in this case as a research ship with special pods designed specifically for the mission. When she was rebuilt, she was redesignated as Deepnight Revelation, a demilitarized heavy cruiser. She's not as demilitarized as the name suggests. Normally, they would remove the spinal mount. They haven't. They have removed part of the fusion gun battery and some of the other weapons, but Deepnight Revelation retains virtually all of the firepower of a heavy cruiser. She also has a special locker containing multiple nuclear demolition charges, some of them very, very big. That's right. We are giving command to your travellers, yes, your travellers, of a starship with a cruiser-grade main armament and a cupboard full of nukes. Why would we do that? Deepnight Revelation is heavily armed, but she's also designed for science and exploration. She has specialist observatories, laboratories, some of which can be isolated, some of which can be independently powered. She has research areas that connect immediately to a docking area so that iffy samples can be investigated before being brought aboard the ship proper. She has extensive scientific capabilities. Her original command bridge is now a mission control area, and she has been overall completely rebuilt for the dual purpose of carrying out whatever scientific mission is needed and getting her crew to the point where they can actually do that. And that's really the balance in this mission. There is science to be done, there are investigations, there are aliens to be investigated and learned about, and there's also problems to be overcome just to get there. The voyage itself is the adventure. What happens at the end, we'll get to that. Deepnight Revelation can't land on a planet's surface. Well, maybe once. So she carries an extensive fleet of small craft. She has 20-ton utility boats. She has much larger pinnaces for general purpose exploration tasks. And she has 8 jump-capable scouts for having a look at nearby systems or distant parts of the current system. Quite a large craft fleet. She also has quite a lot of vehicles on board. And there were mission-specific vehicles obtained, but the travellers can decide to take something else if they want. If they want ornithopters and rowing boats, they can do that. But there are decisions that have to be made. There is only so much storage space. And what you don't have with you, you haven't got. So unless you can find some friendly aliens who can make it for you, or you can obtain the resources and use the ship's construction deck to make it, you have to live without it. You have to find a way around it. And this, well, it's not a shoestring budget. It's actually quite a large budget. This limited budget is an important part of the adventure. 8 years out from home, you suddenly realise you need a thing that you can't get. Well, there's an adventure waiting to happen, isn't it? The crew themselves are a resource. Not an expendable resource, we hope, but a resource. And there are rules for improving crew efficiency. As people get better at their jobs, people learn new skills. We don't have to track every single crew member. We're tracking the capabilities of each division of the crew and of the crew as a whole, and any detachments that the travellers choose to form to do whatever it is they're doing today. The system is somewhat abstract, but it does feed into the creation of individual characters who might come to the fore. Because with a crew of 500 people, this means that if a new player joins the group, or suddenly some second-class steward comes to the fore for whatever reason, we can have new characters introduced without having to find a life pod floating in space 4,000 parsecs from charted space containing a new crew member. That would seem a little implausible. Or would it? Really does depend who else has been out here, doesn't it? But anyway, the crew mechanic also allows for heroic measures. When things are so desperate that you just have to get out of the situation no matter what. Crew members end up being sacrificed, people get killed doing something brave, and the crew is diminished as a result. It's quite possible that you'll be running short of people by the time you get to Terminus Point. It's quite possible you might need to recruit some aliens or some new friends you've met along the way, or just make do with what you have.